let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.
We do not forget. Expect us.
This is a message to all supporters, a message to all freedom fighters, to all dissenters, to all forgotten, a call to all intellectuals, to all journalists, a call to all freethinkers, a call for intelligence. This is a call to all poets, a call to the strong and the weak, a call to all young people, to the wise, to the astucious. We want you to join us. We are on the streets of Tokyo, in the skyscrapers of New York, in the lanes of Paris, in the cellars of Munich, on Moscow's icy places, on the cobbled streets of Dublin. This is a call to all people, to the youth. Join us in the fight for freedom of information. Search for us, and you will find us. We are among you. We are you. Everyone you speak with can be a member of Anonymous. We have no leaders, only an orientation. We have no targets, only results. You cannot stop us because we are an idea. We cannot be eliminated because we are invisible. If you try to mock us, we will mock ourselves. If you try to slander us, we will accept the defamation. We are the king's gestures with daggers. We are the dancing bear which tears to pieces the laughing mob. We are Anonymous. We are a legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us, just as we expect you.
councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't multitask before?
And welcome to
Really.
Anonymous Bites Back, episode 159. I'm pretty sure it's 159, even though on YouTube I labeled the last one as 159. But I'm pretty sure this is episode 159. We are back. This is a Catalonian episode number 2, and I'll leave the rest to John.
Okay. So all of you listeners will remember probably that we had a Catalonian special last week with several guests in from the scene, from the area in Catalonia. Tonight we have U Catalonia, and he does a lot of work on, especially on Twitter, giving attention to the case in Catalonia. We'll just continue like we did last week. So we will ask some questions about the situation, and I think we will start by reading up the 12 people who organized the referendum in Catalonia.
And yes, they have there are these people in prison, which are Meritxell Borràs, Jordi Turull, Josep Rull, Oriol Junqueras, Quim Forn, Dolors Bassa, Jordi Sánchez, Romeva.
Okay, so we prepared some questions, but maybe you wanna start out with explaining something about what the current situation is right now. I mean, we know about the whole referendum, and like the most people, I think that was like close to like 90% of the people voted for the independence of Catalonia.
Yes, well, there was the referendum. I don't know if you had a lot of time in the last episode to talk about the current situation, but as of today, as many of you know, there's this whole trial against all the Catalan leaders that stayed in Spain. We know that part of them living in exile, and the ones that stayed in Spain are now facing the trial, which we all know that they have spent in pre-trial detention, so they've been almost 2 years in prison now. Trial, everyone who looks the trial, it's easy to find videos in YouTube subtitled in English. And the trial, the truth is that everyone who looks at any video of the trial will see that style trial. It's like a farce. It seems like prosecution and the judge and the judges are part of the same team. And the truth is, it's a trial that, as of today, it makes already no sense when trial managed to challenge the arrest warrant, the European arrest warrant that Spanish judges issued against them. On one side, the people that stayed in Spain that are now facing this trial, and the people that are in exile that the Spanish judge issued an European arrest warrant against them. And when Carles Puigdemont was in Germany, the German justice that already said that he could not be extradited for rebellion because there was no rebellion. He's in Belgium. This is more or less the situation right now.
Because you mentioned that the politicians can't even be in their own country. I know that. I'm not sure if I pronounced the name right. That is like the prime minister you guys chose, or the leader. He's like forced to be in Belgium right now, right? He's like.
Yes. He's now in Belgium. He's in exile in Belgium. He stayed. He can travel all around the world except Spain, and he's visited so far during these 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, 9 countries in the European Union. One of them was Germany, that denied the extradition, and Belgium, the Spanish judge did the same as in Germany. he issued an European arrest warrant. He realized that the Belgian judge was about to deny it. He withdrew the European arrest warrant, something which is unprecedented. No judge has ever withdrawn an European arrest warrant in the European Union ever. Carles Puigdemont, the leader, the chosen president, is now living in Belgium, and he cannot come back to Spain. But election, he took part in this European election, and he was the most voted list in Catalonia.
Yeah, I believe that. Like he's like so popular in that region. Like, man, we almost most of the politicians in Europe we are not really big fans of, but he's like a very big exception on that. Like he's like very popular. So I read in that article that so he offered to go to Spain before to talk with them, like with Spanish government and everything, and but they so but they deny him as an MEP, right? Even though he's like the most popular guy.
Yes. Well, the truth is that he has become the number one enemy of the Spanish institutions, of the Spanish state. I mean, obviously, the institutions, not the people. And I think the hatred, the all this persecution, the only thing that has is that people in Catalonia feel like they want to vote him even more, because in the past, I don't even think he was that popular, but this constantly saying he cannot be elected because he was not allowed, even he took part in the Catalan elections, and he was not allowed to be part of the parliament from exile. And now he took part in the European election, and he was not allowed to answer. We'll see what happens. The Spanish that he needs to go back to Madrid to jury the constitution. But many others argue that this is not possible because this is the European Parliament. This is not necessary. This is not the Spanish law, but we are in European institutions. And most jurists say that there would be no problem in him entering the European Parliament. President of the European Parliament is Antonio Tajani, from the Popular Party, from the People's Party. And he said that Puigdemont could not enter the parliament. But as of today, already 5 vice presidents of the European Parliament have publicly said that they were not part of the decision, and they want to know what happens. Why Antonio Tajani blocked the entrance of Puigdemont in the parliament.
Okay. Tyler, do you want to take over real quick with your other questions?
Let me see.
I have to check our Twitter.
Yeah, there's something wrong on the back end with Twitter. I don't know what's going on. Let me see. Do you think that Spain will react violently if there's another independence vote?
Probably, but the truth is that I don't know if there will be another independence vote, because repression has been so big, so huge during these last 2 years. They already managed to scare not only politicians but also the population. When the referendum was made, was like a big collective effort to. In many towns, people just organized by themselves. They didn't need to be told anything. They knew that they had to vote, and it was extremely difficult. In station, I had to wait 6 hours because they were hacking all the because it was almost impossible to vote, and now they have managed to scare people even more. So I think the Catalan society right now is really, unfortunately, is in a really with repression, because they have just put in jail many of the leaders. Others are in exile. But violence against citizens is not only, it's not punished, but even many of the citizens that were beaten on the day of the referendum were called to appear in court because they have been judged for participating in what they call an illegal referendum. So they were beaten and they were called to appear in court.
Well, some of the videos we were seeing coming out of Catalonia when this referendum was going on were just shocking. Like, you were seeing the police beat people to a bloody pulp right there on the street. Is that still going on over there as protesters are protesting, or?
Unfortunately, when repression started, it reached a moment in which the violence against protesters was so brutal, and then the protesters were constantly called to appear in court. They were judged. There were many detentions of people who just protests, and the demonstrations slowly disappeared from the streets. The Catalan leaders were making speeches.
So there's no more protests going on over there right now?
As of today, the only protest is the vote, which is that they are also kind of canceling our votes, because then if the people that Catalans vote for cannot enter the parliament, that's again, I think people are very scared, and when repression is very big, I think they manage to do what they want, which is silence people, make people very scared, because they kind of make fun of this, that people are not really. Were really scared, because if you just go to a demonstration and you end up in jail, or you end up a huge fine, or you end up in exile, because there are also citizens, normal citizens in exile, quite scary. So, and also the Catalan leaders were making speeches in where they were telling the people to kind of get off the streets, to first see what happens with the trial, and then go back to the streets. I think the Catalan leaders were scared too, as there are some demonstrations, but it's like once every 2 or 3 months. It's not more than that.
Yeah, so maybe for listeners who don't know anything about this, and that's very possible for people outside of Europe especially, that let me explain it real quick, and that is that Catalonia has always been an autonomous region. They were always able to make their own decisions until the Spanish Civil War, which was in 1936, and there was this dictator, General Franco, and he started ruling Spain, and that lasted from 1939 to 1975. And under this, who was a fascist general, Catalonia lost its autonomy, and then when Franco died, or the Spain was restored, they were actually given autonomy again. But there was written in the constitution. There is this article 151, if I'm right. That is that can take away the autonomy of Catalonia. It was like some kind of weird safe thing that they actually put in their constitution, the Spanish. So
It's Article 155 that
okay.
can suppress exactly the autonomy of Catalonia. And the thing is that throughout history, Catalonia has always tried to fit in Spain, but it feels like they are going constantly into opposite directions. Just to put an example, you need to bear in mind that out of the 11 last Catalan presidents, that's a lot of years, 11 presidents, 9 out of the 11 last Catalan presidents have been either imprisoned by the Spanish state, either killed, or either forced to exile. The 11. And the two that weren't prosecuted were unionist, independentist. Every pro-independence president that has existed has taken office in Catalonia, has been either imprisoned, forced to exile, or killed. And yes, there was the Franco dictatorship that lasted 40 years. In 1970, yes, in the 70s, they wrote this constitution. At the time, voted for passing that constitution. But you need to bear in mind that they passed this constitution after 40 years of dictatorship. So everything looked great, looked better than a dictatorship. If that constitution, well, polls say that constitution today by a huge majority of the Catalan people.
Oh, I gotcha. Next question. I was seeing a report out a few days ago, saying that that there's been a spike in people not wanting to gain independence in Catalonia. Do you feel like that's a false fact, or do you think that that's becoming a reality?
I think if you, for example, most media will create this, will talk about this, that there's a feeling, there's a sensation, there's some people think that there's less support for Catalan independence, but the truth is that during the last election, support for Catalan independence has been growing. I think that mainly for repression, because I think, for example, in Catalonia, 80% of the people a referendum, but people that are in favor of independence, many argue that it's half-half. We don't know, because the truth is that support for independence has been growing. For example, in the last European election, pro-independence parties more votes than unionist parties, and that was just 1 week ago. I think it's also I don't know. Last elections, pro-independence movement has been growing, but I believe it's also part of the repression. If probably repression was not that high, and the Spanish state just dialogue of talking about how can Catalonia fit in Spain, things would be, in my opinion, pretty different. The problem is that when Catalonia has tried to dialogue about rights, about the situation within Spain, governments have always used, instead of dialogue, the macho technique, which is very popular in Spain. That it's fighting, no, it's proving that I'm stronger than you. I don't want dialogue. I want to prove you that I'm stronger than you. If you ask for dialogue, I think I'm better than you and I will win. It's the win or lose mentality rather than let's be friends. In my opinion, what people makes many people to become pro-independent. Bear in mind that pro-independence movement in just 15 years ago, 5% of the people in Catalonia. So there has been a huge increase during the last years.
Let me ask you, what do you think about the suspension of Catalonia's autonomy, and do you think that that's going to have a everlasting effect on the democracy of not only just Catalonia but Spain in general?
As I think, and I believe this is part of a that has been going on through history, when Catalans have voted for something that Spanish government doesn't agree. There has been this suspension of the powers of the Catalans. This is not something new. This has happened throughout history.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. Well, we can go back to, for example, 1714, when all the suspension on where Catalan powers were all erased, and Spain took part of it, the Franco dictatorship, and the thing that now you're saying, it's I think it's true that every time that this happens, obviously the democracy gets kind of hurt from these things.
Right, it's everlasting damage, right?
Because it's, for example, in the case of other situations, if in my opinion, the Brexit, I'm totally against Brexit, but if people have voted for Brexit, it would be a dangerous precedent, for example, to tell them that, I don't know, in my opinion, that they are wrong. In this case, the thing that I think it's way worse, because suspending an autonomy is taking all the control over it. And for many people, there's this feeling, all the media in Spain have constantly been telling everyone that necessary, because Catalans have made a kind of coup d'etat. So acceptable, a suspension of autonomy is acceptable. They wanted to close the Catalan television and do it, but arguments in favor of censoring, taking over everything, that was it reached a level that it felt like they could take over everything because it was justified, because they thought that the decisions, someone may agree or not with the decisions taken, but that doesn't, if you don't agree, I don't think that does allow you to an autonomy. And that article in this constitution is so abstract. It's like an article that kind of make a justification to apply this article. And it feels like every time that Catalonia will vote for something that is quite far from what the Spanish government believes in, they can apply this article.
Yeah, it is like they allow you democracy and autonomy like within a box. If you go outside of the box, they will just apply this article and they remove all your rights. It's like
Exactly.
limited democracy. It's like,
What's
I have
crazy?
one question, real quick. Because you mentioned the media, and I know the Madrid media is very big and Spanish media, but you have in Catalonia, in the Barcelona area, especially, there's also a very big media. How are these media in favor of Catalonia, or are they siding with the rest of with the Spanish media?
Yes, there's one channel in Catalonia that has about 14-15% of the audience share, which is something. It's obviously the problem is that all the other channels come from Madrid, so this is quite huge. They, if you watch Spanish channels, Spanish public TV, Telecinco, Antena 3, all the Spanish channels, their editorials, their opinion feels like it's created by the same people because they say exactly the same. And sometimes
So it's like our media here in the U.S.
Okay, some people have told me that it's quite similar in the US. So this is the problem here is that I don't know. I live in Catalonia, and sometimes I went, for example, in a demonstration, and you looked and you watched this demonstration in the Spanish TV, and it felt like we had I don't know, killed someone. It was very different, and it's true that Catalan television has. At least it doesn't criminalize it doesn't criminalize independentism. This is seen as something terrible by Spanish powers. A TV that doesn't criminalize pro-independence movement, this is something very serious, and it has been an issue that has been debated many times in Spanish TVs. In the Spanish Parliament, should we close Catalan TV? It's very important that at least we have some media that all the other media says.
Were they showing any of the attacks on protesters by police when all this was going down, like on the other media, or no? Was it just being kind of like hidden from the public?
Yes, they were the most impacting. I don't know. The most impressive images were not shown, and in fact, they started a campaign from day 2 after the referendum, trying to explain that most images were fake news. They were fake images. And
they got that from Trump.
And the truth is that during the trial to the Catalan leaders, you cannot present false evidences, and many of the evidences shown during the trial to Catalan leaders by the defenses, the images of the police beating the protesters, and are images that in the past Spanish media has shown as a proof of fake news, and there has been many of the media also tried to. If they show the images, many try to say, well, this is the fault of the Catalan government because they held a referendum knowing that this could happen. So all these victims are the Catalan government is to blame for all of this. So it reached a point that as a Catalan, it felt too much for me. But yes, I think the truth is that there were more than 1,000 people injured during this referendum.
Right.
To minimize this to like if it was something anecdotal.
Okay. So you talked about the whole fake news and corrupt media, which of course we are all used to that now by now. I mean, in America it is obvious, and here in my country it is also very bad. Um, but so I'm wondering, how do you feel about the WikiLeaks situation? If you are familiar with that, because the WikiLeaks, many of us follow what happens with that, with Julian Assange, and we know that they spread a lot about Catalonia in the past for the protests, and so I'm just wondering, like, how do you feel about that? What's happening to them?
Well, the thing with Julian Assange is absolutely horrifying right now, and I think that many people in Catalonia are really afraid of what's going on, what will happen to him, because his situation is way worse than any Spanish prisoner right now, because he's the target. He's the of the powers. I think during it's funny because that was used against the Catalan vote, the Catalan referendum. At the moment that Julian Assange, he always said that he was not in support. He didn't support Catalan independence, but he was in favor of democracy. And at the moment he started to show images of the referendum, of the Catalan situation, Spanish media started treating him like it's fun because in the past he didn't talk about Spanish issues. Media, he was like a foreign hero, someone who did things good in other countries. But at the moment that he starts trying to understand what's going on in Spain, he becomes a public enemy also to Spain. And I think the Spanish media made an important job to make Julian Assange look like a person, and he was even insulted. He was in media, in public media. False claims against him were constantly made. Julian Assange,
like what, for instance, was going through the Spanish media as false claims against Julian Assange? Just kind of.
They said constantly. They say that he received lots of money from the Catalan government. He received money from Russian governments to support the Catalan independence issue. I don't know much about this, but he has filed in the past about a sex assault. But they talked about this as if he was convicted, and I think he was never convicted about that.
No, it was only a charge, I'm sorry, it wasn't even a charge. It was an allegation. There was only allegations that were made in Sweden. There was never any charges that were filed for that. And what we see with the media is that they like to spin that and say that he was basically convicted of it. And the meme that goes around U.S. media was serial rapist. But
it's pretty much the same that was appearing in Spanish news. And they tried to because they knew that if Julian Assange supported the referendum thing and the democracy thing, that's a big problem for the Spanish state. So they changed the thing. So they turn it the other way around. They tried to look as if a sex assaulter was supporting the Catalan cause, and that was a proof that and he has an, as you say, it was just allegations. So yes, they made it look like the thing is that every time that someone supports this in the eyes of the media, he becomes the worst person ever, and that was the case.
Yeah,
Of
right. Yeah, you smear somebody as a rapist. Yeah, it's going to do that. Now, I have another question for you. Do you think that Spain influenced Ecuador to cut off communications from? I'm sorry, not from. To influence Ecuador to cut off communications of Julian Assange when he was in the Ecuadorian embassy and his communications were cut off because it was shortly after he criticized the Catalonian referendum and what was going on over there with the police and the leaders being put into, I think it was Germany. Was it Germany, Mark?
I'm not sure about that. I'm sorry.
Sorry, you mean the Ecuador when they got access to internet to Julian Assange?
Yes,
Ecuador embassy?
correct.
Okay. Yes, I'm 100% sure that this is a consequence, a direct consequence, because some people outside, abroad tend to think that things are not as Catalonia is not as important to Spain, but the truth is that they will do anything, and this is the number one issue in their agenda, to avoid any kind of support for the Catalan referendum, and I'm sure they did all they could to stop this. In fact, he was, I think, Julian Assange was told to stop his support for the Catalan cause. And then just some weeks later, he made a tweet also about Catalonia. He was finally cut. Just 2 or 3 days later, he was cut from internet. Obviously, there may have been other reasons, but I'm 100% sure that Spain has a lot of power over Ecuador. Also, there have been a change in government now.
Right.
I'm 100% sure they're. I mean, if they've been able to try to convince the European Parliament president to block elected MPs, I mean, that's.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure about this.
Okay, and something maybe a bit unrelated, but that is you are in the north of Spain with Catalonia, but I know that in the south of France there's also an area that's considered northern Catalonia, right, by Catalonians, and there are also many people protesting against actually the French government, I think.
Yes. Well, there's a region of about 500,000 people that are Catalans. They are French Catalans. Yes, there with the gilets jaunes, with all the yellow vests, but they have always been extremely supportive of the Catalan cause in the Spanish territory. And yes, the thing is that the situation there, I think, is quite different. Because there's the French state has some problems, but I think the Catalan French have, for example, a movement like the Spanish Catalans, because it's their situation, that their problems are not from belonging to a state. I believe, in my opinion. It happens pretty much the same with the Basques. There's also the Basques in Spain, and on the other side of the border, there's Basques, France, and the situation is quite similar. So I don't know if you get usually news about this, because not only the Catalan movement or the Basque movement, for example, in the Netherlands, do you usually get news about the? I mean, for example, information about the Flemish, for example. I don't know.
We do get a lot of news from about Belgium, about Flemish, but we get absolutely nothing about Catalonia, like zero. There's nothing ever mentioned. But about Belgium, there's always stuff going on there. But we have like a tiny country, right? It is like it would only be like a small province of Spain. We are very close to Belgium, and it's also a tiny country. So both countries would fit in like a small part of Spain. So it is or France, like this is the same. I was asking it because you know that the French government, for example, is very scared of Gilles Jans, for example, and I know that if Catalonia movement and Gilles Jans are very close with each other, of course, this will also scare the media a lot in Spain, because you will have a lot of impact with that. They are scared because the social media is like booming about it. Like everyone is posting about this on social media, on the internet, and it's becoming very large. And I follow Catalonia for a while too, and I know it is very large on social media too. And so I can see why the media is scared about this. Yeah.
Yes. And the thing is that, the Gilets Jaunes, I think they have also one of the problems they have is that media is constantly criminalizing them and trying to link them. At least in Spanish media, we've seen how they try to link them with the far right in some cases. Quite amazing. French people, I think it's a movement that was something that was going to happen with the current situation. I mean, it's quite clear. And situations like this, I think they are trying to be silenced. For example, in the European Parliament, the other day, the journalist Jean Quatremer, I don't know if you know him, he's a French journalist, and he told there's a big agreement between the CDU Merkel and the Spanish Popular Party, because the CDU that tries to find an ally, a right-wing ally, but it's very difficult because in big countries the right is quite fragmented now, and in Spain the Popular Party has some power. And one of the conditions of this agreement is that Catalonia is. He gave the example, this journalist of Harry Potter, that in Harry Potter you cannot say the word Voldemort. In Brussels you cannot say the word Catalonia because you're going to have problems with both the CDU and the Spanish Popular Party.
Yeah, this is weird, right? Because you can see, about Scottish referendum, the independence campaign in Scotland, and there the EU was actually very much in support of Scotland because England, like the UK, is getting more and more anti-EU, and they're hoping to get Scotland in such a way.
Yes, it's in the end it's all a matter of interests. So if they have some interest in the referendum, for example, as you say, in Britain, the Scottish referendum was something good for the European Union because of the Brexit, and the Scottish would come back to the European Union. So they tried. So in this situation, a referendum is something great. The Scottish movement is great for the European Union, so they talk greatly about it, which is great. But then when something is not in the interest, some of the big powers of the European Union, then their opinion changes and they try to censor it as much as they can. But Scotland, the truth is that one of the movements that most Catalan independentists, pro-independent supporters with or feel related with is the Scottish movement, without any doubt. And there's a lot of friendship between us, as you can see, not only in Twitter, but in real life. For example, if you walk, is always full of people from all around Europe. You find many Scottish, and when or for example, I traveled 3 years ago and through in Scotland, and oh my God, every time I told them I was from Catalonia, they felt like they had made a new friend. I think it's the Spanish media tries to link it with Brexit, but the truth is the more it would be the Scottish referendum. Yes.
Yeah, I feel weird about this because, yeah, I understand it, of course, but I feel weird that in Scotland only maybe like 51 or 50% was looking for independence, but in Catalonia, last referendum, it was like 90%. If they are so respecting the Scottish referendum and aiming for independence, then it feels so weird that they are not showing more respect to Catalonia right now. I mean, this is what.
Yes, as we said, in the end, is more something about what they want, not because if something is not what they want, they probably won't respect it. Also, it was 90%, but also the turnout was a little bit lower than the Scottish referendum. But even though I think it was a huge amount of people with all the difficulties that there were. Police beating people, many votes were stolen, from the polls by the police when they managed to enter the stations. I think, and probably from certain points of view, it's always easy to understand this because, for example, Catalans always feel like they have been a country within the last years within Spain, and some people outside feel like they are trying to cut part of a country. The perspective, the point of view, is very different from if you see it from another country. Some people, for example, in the Netherlands may think that Catalan independence movement would be like, I don't know, a free zone area from the Netherlands. And that's not exactly what the Catalans feel like. They feel like a country that now is part of Spain that deserves or at least part of the Catalans. I don't know if in Netherlands you most people understand. I don't think so well because that's not usually the case.
I understand. For the Frisians, there are also many still looking for independence, but they are there. This is embedded for so long in the Netherlands. It is not like Catalonia. Catalonia is also a big economic area, a big media area. It has the entirely their own culture. You have your own culture in Catalonia. It is Frisians is also like that, but it is still the area is too small to be considered like. Yeah, it would be more like Scotland, I think, Catalonia situation, I think.
Yes, and you say it's a big economic area, but the truth is that the Catalan society is really, I don't know the word, it's like there has been the economy is not good, the people's economy. People are suffering a lot economically. And it feels like, yes, there's a lot of it, but people many people are poor now. It's not a good situation as of today, and it feels like. But that's also one of the things that makes it feel for many people to be impossible to stay in Spain. That is always turning left. Turning left. It's most of the people are left wing, and Spain has. It's either turning right or has a strange conception of left wing, a left wing that allows too many right wing things to be part of politics. I don't know. It's kind of difficult, the situation. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I also notice is a very big anti-fascist movement among Catalonians, and it is historically, of course, because of the whole start with the Franco thing, and now like the Spanish government adapting same strategies to oppress Catalonia.
Yes. In this case, it has always been the case that fascist movement has always been more supported by the Spanish government, by the people supporting the Spanish government.
Yeah, because like people who are like what kind of like older and they have been living under like Franco, they will remember like situation of oppression of the Catalonian independence, and then now they see it again happening under Spain. And
Yes, it was. Many remember it, and it was terrible in Catalonia. It was. They talk about hunger. They talk about not being able to express any opinions outside the house, outside the home. Yes, and
So
for
that's
example,
multiple generations experiencing that type of animosity towards democracy by the government.
yes, and that's the case. And for example, I think that they, with this wave of violence of repression, they try to silence again one generation. I don't know if
Yeah, that's crazy.
if this will be the case, but in the past, for example, and I'm 29. My grandpa who died, he never talked about politics, never, because he knew what happens if you talk about politics. His father was killed, was a communist, and that was just after the civil war in Spain, and that's what happens when repression is so big that people tend to underestimate it, but full generations get silenced because of repression. Really scared. My grandfather was a scared person. He every time people, for example, my mother talked about politics, I said something like, let's talk about other things. Let's not debate. Let's not argue. Because he lived repression from a young point of view. Yes, during a lot of years, people have been scared. They haven't expressed what they really felt in public.
Well, it silences dissonance and freedom of expression all in one go. When your vote's being denied, and then not only is your vote being denied, but people are being beat up by the state's police forces, and I use state as a very broad word, meaning the police, like the federal police. When the federal police come in and start beating protesters because of they voted, I mean that's absolute insanity.
And that's the thing. Yeah, they feel like when they feel that this repression is okay because what they are repressing is not something legitimate to them. It's not something acceptable to them. So any moral problem with this, because they really feel that they are censoring something that's not acceptable for them. So, and that's okay for them. All of they also have the perspective of what they are living. They don't live it as a repression because they are not suffering it. So it's difficult for them to empathize. All of the dictatorship of Franco, it's very usual to hear people from Madrid saying it was not that bad. We lived even better in some years in Franco. You lived, you were part of the repressor part. That you were part of something that of was not repressed. If you talk to my grandparent, they will tell you something very different. They will tell you about all what during that years that it was not good at all. So, but that's something usual in all countries. There's always this kind of feeling by the part that is not
Well,
suffering.
it's personal perspective. Yeah, it's personal perspective and what you've actually been through. So some people would experience that differently.
Exactly, and if you live, if you're not suffering the repression, then that it's something very. It's normal that you don't feel like that something bad is going on. You talk about, yes, it was not that bad. It was not, well. That's because you were not suffering, and probably in the United States, but I'm sure that there's when some movement has been repressed, sure that the ones that were not repressed at some point thought, well, that's not that bad. This repression, they talk too much.
Okay, I saw you saying you have to leave soon. This is fine, of course. I have maybe you want to return next week too at the same time because we need to.
Okay.
Okay, because we need to give more attention to this case, especially now. I mean, it's very much needed, and so I can see a lot of posts about Catalonia on social media, but I see there are still a lot of people, ready to fight for their independence and to take this to whatever is needed to get their independence and freedom. But I was looking to ask you, like, what can a listener do? What can we do to help and also to stay informed about this? What's the best thing?
The best thing, if you see Twitter, if you use social media, you'll realize that the Catalan pro-independence movement has a lot of presence in things like Twitter, and that's because the other channels are like censored, and social media has become like the only way to express what's going on, to denounce things. So I think Twitter is a great tool. If you look for Catalonia, you'll find lots of accounts trying to spread what is really going on there, trying to talk about all this trial. And you, after seeing all of this, you probably, maybe you won't support Catalan independence, but you'll understand much more things. And yes, and I think it's very important that one of the things, for example, that was said about is that the proof of is that he was paid lots of money he was supporting all of this. He was paid, but the truth is the proof that he was not doing this in his benefit is that he was expressing all of this, and because of this he got in problems, in more problems than he already had. This is something that in the end is just being talked in social media, just being talked in all the channels that are less censored. I'll try to join also next week.
Yeah, because we have another guest. He had to leave early tonight, but he wants to come back to next week at the same time. He is from Foreign Friends of Catalonia.
Great. I know them. Yes.
Yeah, so it would be nice if you guys would come back then. And yeah,
Okay. So see you next Sunday at the same time.
yeah, we will be here and and waiting. I mean, this matters to all of us. I mean, we are all fighting for human rights online and on the streets. We fight for all human rights, and this is one example that is like happening close to us. And it's very close to me in the Netherlands. It is like only like 3 hours or something with the train, like maybe 4 hours to get there. And I mean, there are people fighting for their existence and right to have their own society, their own country. So we will have to do everything we can to help with this case. So we will be here next week again.
Okay, great. Thank you for inviting me, and have a nice week, and see you next week. Goodbye.
Well, thank you.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Should we close it up and go announce for the show for next week?
I think so. It seems there is possibly another guest, but I don't know how. I don't know. You were playing like 2 hours, right? And I think we're almost at the 2 hours. So
Almost. Well, we're at 1 hour, so.
Oh,
But I don't know if the other guest is here. Is he? No. He didn't show up.
there was another guest from Foreign Friends, but he will return next week. And Tan is asking if she should bring in another guest. She seems to have another guest from Catalonia. Yeah, there are so many activists from Catalonia. I mean, they're all
Oh,
In the meantime,
go ahead.
these people are hardcore.
I was going to say in the meantime, we could discuss, it's completely off topic of Catalonia, but in the meantime, we could discuss John McAfee's tweets. If anybody's seen how fucking crazy this is.
Yeah, so John McAfee, I don't know if it's a well, a little bit of history on John McAfee. John McAfee is wanted in Belize for murder, and he's wanted in the United States for tax evasion. Also, the creator and founder of McAfee antivirus, and since the United States has wanted him for tax evasion, he's been living in a boat in somewhere in the Bahamas or the Caribbean somewhere, getting high on a boat, actively doing drugs. So I'm not sure like what he's saying is true or if it's not true, because 31 terabytes is a lot of data. You know what I mean? That's insane amount of data.
I'm just waiting for that guy to make good on his promise with Bitcoin.
The founder of Bitcoin. Well, I mean, he's going to have a hard time doing that when then the cypherpunks were the ones that kind of developed it. But I won't go into that anymore on the air. But
Well, no, he made it was supposed to, if it didn't reach 1 million by 2020, he made a promise to do something. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah. If it didn't reach $1 million, if it reaches $1 million, or if it doesn't reach $1 million by 2020, he said that he was going to cut off his nuts and eat them.
Bro, he's starting to tweet out some weird shit right now. Hold on. This is totally weird for him. Hold on.
Well, if you get his nose dusted, powdered good enough, he probably will do it.
The question is information pre-knowledge ability beyond the powers of inferior, superior, raw, military power? Oh my God, he's so high. What is he saying? For my followers, my recent tweets are less for you if they are for my pursuers. They shot crows across the bow. Leave me the fuck alone or go down with the corruption you embrace, because I will fucking bury you if you continue to doubt me at your own fucking risk. What is he talking? Oh, wait, here we go. Moving up the ladder, Tellus Bethel, head of the Bohemian military, was contacted by rogue ex-CIA agent Jeremy Kent and agreed to unlawfully help collect me. But more later, I am on the run, and the time is tight. I will drop names. Well, maybe somebody from the CIA really wants John McAfee. I'm not. That's not totally out of the question, you know.
That's pretty crazy. But I mean, the 31 terabytes of data that he said, that's an insane amount of data that I just can't imagine any news organization would be able to download 31 terabytes within a short period of time.
It does actually fit the timing, right? There is actually a war going on against whistleblowing and against this kind of stuff. And even if this McAfee might be kind of like crazy and doing a lot of drugs, he might actually have some dirt too on these people. Yeah, just saying.
I mean, he's getting pretty specific on people that are out to get him. I wouldn't put it past, the United States government that they want John McAfee for something or another,
It's very interesting, though. The tweets that are coming out of his account.
Well, he is trying to run for president. I think it's a joke.
Oh, that's part of. I get it. That's part of the presidential campaign. Is I'm going to leak data. Oh, that'd be an interesting campaign, though. I mean, has anybody ever done that? Like, I don't think so.
It's John McAfee. I don't think anything is normal that he does. I mean, like, once you start hitting the devil's dandruff, conversations at 3:00 in the morning, like, what are you doing tonight? We're gonna go steal dog. Shit like that becomes normal conversation. Like, with anything that comes out of his tweets really doesn't surprise me anymore.
Yeah, completely. Like, I've seen some pretty bizarre rants and bizarre claims. Like, I'm going to reveal the founder of Bitcoin, I'm sorry, not the founder, the creator of Bitcoin, and then that just that falls apart. Now we're on to leaking agents and whatever else information that he claims to have.
Hold on. Marcos LeVay is close with Ishmael Zambada, Sinaloa executioner. More important, Ken contacted Tellus Bethel, the head of the, I don't even know how to say the Bahamian military. I guess that's right, it is. In May, and sent a bogus report on me. Bethel, whoa, he might be into some shit with the CIA. Like...
He hasn't. I mean, he hasn't made sense for, I don't know, maybe 5 years since he kind of lost his corporate style. He was going to make some device there, anonymity device, and he's made like 5 promises he hadn't kept.
He's a busy man. He's doing cocaine. He's a man with a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, just real quick, because we have a lot of listeners from Catalonia listening right now. If you are listening and you are here because of this is a Catalonia special, we just had like a guest in from Catalonia. I had to leave early. Next week Sunday we have foreign friends of Catalonia, and their other guests will also come back again. We're waiting for possibly another guest from Catalonia. But right now we're just filling time with other news that happened. So if you're worried why this is not about Catalonia, we just had like over an hour about Catalonia, and we might resume soon. And about next week on Sunday at the same time, we will also be about Catalonia. So just real quick.
Yeah, also next week we might be streaming to possibly 30 new platforms. I'm going to see how many of them will pan out. But this back end censorship is getting to the point where the show kind of needs to have so many endpoints to the point where we can't be censored on every platform at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, you won't be censored on one platform, but it has no streaming capability yet. So
we will stream up to about like 40 different locations, and it will be impossible to censor us. And yeah, this is the only way right now. We will just stream everywhere.
Fucking stream everywhere.
Well, I mean, like
40 different platforms. Jesus.
It's getting to that point where, you know, like I don't know what's going on with YouTube. If I stream directly to YouTube, it doesn't work. But if I use a RTMP relay, like it works fine. So I don't know if it's an IP ban. I don't
You weren't
know.
supposed to tell them how you were doing it like, on the air, because now if an admin listens to this, you know, now they know how you.
That's true.
And Periscope was giving trouble too tonight, right?
Yeah, I had to completely reconnect the whole system on the back, and it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, after that shit with the YouTube ban, like everything's been acting funny back in on my stuff, and we're not a racist, we're not a racist channel on any mean, you know.
Well, you don't have to be racist. It just has to be hateful, whatever that is.
Yeah, but we're also like, we don't have any monetization or anything on videos either. We have like every ad we have like put on off, so they can't even say like we demonetize you or whatever, because we don't even have that.
Yeah, you're not even demonetized. We're just censored.
Yeah. Because, you know, like, yeah, you do talk about like PewDiePie earlier. Like, he got like demonetized because he said like bad words. They said like we take your ads off. Well, we don't even have ads.
No, there was a few times he had some anti-Semitic shit, but I think it was. I think when PewDiePie said it though, it was in relation to a meme, which I get it. Everything that you say when you're doing meme time, really, anything goes. But I don't think YouTube executives thought that was cool in any sense.
Oh, I mean, he's a YouTube partner, so I mean that's a completely different thing. It's like you're representing YouTube, so if you know you go off, then we're going to take you off, and you know we're not going to pay you anymore. Well, he's being paid way more than any other partners on YouTube for sure.
Well, yeah, we will definitely be going to DLive. That's where PewDiePie is getting some of his monetization, so we definitely would be going there.
And we're working on an audio stream that will be like a direct stream to our own site and whatever, and they will never be able to censor that. So
yeah, that's really the way you got to go. And also, there's BitChute for uploading videos after the stream is done, and I'm working with BitChute very slowly on trying to do a initial coin offering for a new platform for BitChute, and for them to expand also to live stream capabilities. So,
yeah, I don't know what's going on with those guys, because that platform hasn't changed for like almost 2 years now. They've made some promises, but they never seem to move past where they're at.
Well, the thing is, it's all about not monetization. It's all about the money to be able to do something like that. That's why I suggested to them to do a ICO and to rebuild the platform on blockchain technology, and to utilize both blockchain technology and the torrent magnet technology that they're already using for BitChute.
Yeah, like the web torrent's good, but I mean their search function on their website sucks so bad. It just
Oh yeah, I can't find anything on BitChute. Like literally, like you have to give me the link to the channel to figure out what the hell I'm looking for, because when I search for anything on BitChute, it literally doesn't give me what I'm looking for.
Interesting. Okay, that's some feedback that I can send their way, and we could try to correct some of these things. But I think that alternative platforms are really the way forward into the future, because I think that this censorship is only going to ramp up more and more towards the U.S. 2020 elections. I think that's going to be the big point where they start taking down even more channels than they have already done.
Yeah, I don't
leading
care.
up
I don't
to
care
it,
if
for
we have to
sure.
go to if we have to go stream to Russian sites or streams in Korea, as long as somebody can get to our shit. That's all that I care
Oh, yeah.
about.
Yeah. Well, we're also on VK.com. They never censored us, right?
No, never. They don't. You can like VK is more risque than anything else. I mean, straight up, like there's shit on VK that will not fly on any platform, and they don't take it down.
Yeah, so if you like social media, try out VK.com. They're Russian, but they're from the makers of from the creators of Telegram, and the site actually doesn't sing.
Like
And
they're people straight up streaming like full length movies and like whatever, you know, and nobody's saying anything about it, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not gonna say nothing either because it's kind of cool, you know what I mean?
yeah, with that other list of sites, I'm looking at the screenshot you sent me, but like Africa TV.
Yeah, that's a Korean site. Yeah, yeah,
TV. What?
yeah. There's Mixer. We got what else?
I mean, yeah, but that's a normal name, like Africa TV. What the fuck? Why would you name your company that?
I don't know.
I also see OK.ru now. OK.ru.
Yeah, I think OK.ru. I think that's mainly. I think that's. Isn't it? Is it Siberian? Is it? I don't know.
It could be, I don't know, but it's like it says .ru, so it's probably safe for us to stream to it.
Yeah, sure. Well, we'll stream wherever we can.
Yeah, yeah. And so we have our guest in Liz.
Okay. Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Oh, finally, I found the place. I didn't know exactly how it works.
Okay, now we can hear you. Okay, and yeah, welcome. The other guest had to leave like 15 minutes ago, and so we were talking about some unrelated shit, but we can we can continue again about the Catalonia situation.
But where are you from exactly?
Somewhere in North America.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm from Netherlands. For the rest, mostly American.
Okay.
San Antonio, Texas.
From the Netherlands too?
I'm from the Netherlands. Yeah.
Yeah, my husband is from the Netherlands.
Okay.
Also, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a pity because I thought.
Oh.
Yeah, she dropped out. Yeah, that's just.
Oops.
Everything
there she
happens
goes.
in a live show.
Yeah, little by little, step by step.
So you live in Catalonia right now?
Yeah, I live in Catalonia. I've lived here all my life. Yeah, close to Barcelona, very close.
So just a quick question. What do you think it would take for Catalonia to gain its independence?
Sorry, I did not listen. I did not had a good.
Good audio. Oh, yeah. So what do you think it would take for Catalonia to gain its independence from Spain?
Well, it's good. I think now the situation is not so good. I was more optimistic about half a year ago or something, but after these elections, I'm not so sure anymore because, well, I don't know if you are informed about everything, how it works here, about the parties, and I think the only really good person that is working for it really it's Puigdemont, because he is really independence. And Esquerra Republicana, it has been always in the past, but now it has some people inside the party that I think maybe they will deal with unionists and also, well, we have seen here the situation is not so good now because the repression is strong, and this week it will be finished, all the trial with the political prisoners. But I think the news won't be so nice about it, and the problem is that the good thing would have been that all Catalan people would have gone together in only one party. That is what Puigdemont wanted. But Esquerra Republicana did not want that. And this, the meaning is that at the end, the people is kind of split a little bit. They are, they lost votes in the middle because of this kind of internal fights between independent people also. And it could have been much better if it could have been all together. Now it would be better, the situation, I think.
Now, how do you think the trials are going to go, and what do you think the verdict is going to be, and what do you think the sentences are going to be as just speculation?
Well, I think this is speculation, but how the trial went, because I've seen many parts of it, if it's not it's not fair. It hasn't been a fair trial. It's full of lies, but because they had kind of sentence before starting the trial. Because here in Spain there is no this such a separation of powers. It doesn't exist. So the king wants that they go to prison, and he is the one that orders to all the rest how to act. And I think this is what happened exactly. Politics and all the judges, and are just following orders. And also, there's a kind of anti-Catalanist feeling that it has been here for many years. I mean, from centuries now. It's not new, this. We have been always dealing with that, the Catalan people. So this is one of the reasons that we want independence, because we don't feel comfortable with the rest, because they kind of hate us. Not everybody, of course, but many people, yeah.
Yeah, we discussed it with the other guest earlier that actually Catalonia was always like autonomous region until the General Franco took over the Spain, and
Exactly. Hmm. But
yeah, and then when he,
this goes really farther but farther away from Franco's. This started with the marriage of queen, the Catholic kings. I don't know if you know them. This problem started then because from many past centuries we were independent from Spain, and then when they got married, and they had a kind of deal, but the problem was that Catalonia lost it, the power and everything, the autonomy, everything, and then since then it has been worse and worse, because then started the Bourbons, so the kings, and then Franco just put the Bourbons on power. He made Bourbons a king. So they always hated us, but we have. They want us to be there because they need the money from Catalonia, because it's like the motor of Spain, Catalonia and the País Vasco, yeah, in the north of Spain. They also want the independence, and yeah, there are the two regions of Spain that are like sustaining the other regions. So, and we don't have anything back from them. That's other questions, but is also kind of is a part of the problem too. They don't
Yeah.
respect. They don't respect also our language because they want every time they want to cut more what we achieved in the past about the schools. We speak Catalan, and also we children learn it in the school. But this was after Franco because he forbade to speak Catalan, and when I was a child, for instance, I could not learn Catalan in the school. And now, yeah, it's many parties want just they don't want that it is like this. They don't want it again, and they don't like our culture, and it's always this kind. And the problem is that it seems that the right is growing, but especially this Vox and this extreme right, that they are very anti-Catalanist, and yeah, this is it's worrying.
Because this extreme right is actually like for a strong Spanish nation. And they,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. We don't have it here. Well, we have some, but many people, because Catalonia also in the past, well, and also now, many people came here to work from the rest of the country because they didn't have anything, and they come here to work. Well, in many places, so they live here now. But many people, they did never even learn our language, so they only speak Spanish. Some they understand Catalan, but they never write or speak in Catalan, and they never were really integrated here. So the songs they have, they don't feel Catalan. But also there are other people that, of course, they did, but many people not. Uh, it's like we are two cultures, different cultures, living together, but yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult because they, if they don't really respect our culture, sometimes it's difficult, you know. To feel it, you have to live here. But we will see here. Well, if you are, well, here is very, in general, people is very respectful here. I don't think you have any problem. Even if you don't speak in Catalan, people will change the language and they will talk to you in another language, English or Spanish, especially Spanish, because many people also don't speak English. But we change the language. But in the opposite side, it's more difficult because they are very proud of themselves. I don't know if you have been here once in your life.
I do know about similar situations, like maybe not with a region being so oppressed, but by like in Belgium, for example, you have a Dutch-speaking side and you have the French-speaking side, and they are
Yeah,
like totally different cultures.
yeah,
And
I
they
know
also
that. Yeah,
refuse to give up on their own things, and both sides deserve their own culture, of course, because yeah,
uh-huh.
they are very different from each other, and they
Yeah,
are and we with the guest who was on before, we talked also about the Scottish referendum, for example. Scottish wanted
yeah,
independence, and but they were treated very different by the European Union and
uh-huh.
by UK. And with Spain, it is very strange how they are acting towards Catalonia, even because the Scottish referendum only had maybe 50% wanting
Yeah,
independence, and Catalonian last referendum had like 90% almost.
yeah. Yeah, well, the problem is here there is fascism, and in Scotland there is not. I think this is the most the most remarkable difference, because here the problem is that they never accepted that we want just to do to be independent. They don't want that, because if they do that, they just they don't know how to survive. This is one of the motives. If it was the opposite, that they would have the workers and the money and all of that, I think they would have just wanted it many years ago, and yeah, and they would just had abandoned us. But in the other side, in the Catalan people also is peaceful people in general. So they never want to fight. So they want to agree and to make agreements and to talk about. And but it hasn't been possible. If you see, because now the referendum, it was also they said to Spain before the referendum was made that they could do that, and also the question that they could do to the citizens and everything. But then when they did it, then they picked them and they put them to jail. But not only the political people, also the politicians, but also the citizens. So many citizens are with causes now. They are pursuing people that want independence, and they making people afraid because they want that we abandon this feeling of being independent, and yeah, they want to just to ¿cómo se digo imponer? They want to put their own ideas on us, and yeah, this cannot be. This doesn't work like that. So it's difficult to understand. But if you see how fascism works, this is just fascism now in the 21st century. I think this is, for me, the most easiest way to see it, because if you follow the trial, you know how it works. If you live here and you know the news, you have been in the demonstrations that's so peaceful, and then they say that this is rebellion and nothing was done. I mean, so many lies that, yeah, it's manipulating the real facts to have the power to put people in prison, and then it's like a punishment to Catalan people for not to do it again. It's like more or less like that. That's why I am very pro Puigdemont, even if I am not from right, but he is also not from right now. I mean, because he's really a defendant of the country of Catalonia. If you listen to what he says, he, for me, is really the best leader we have. And they are now going for him. They want to pick him because he is explaining what is happening around the world, around Europe. But I didn't want that his voice is known, because it's too dangerous that Europe knows what's happening here and the rest of the world, of course. So
Yeah, because this is this is the main tool of fascism, of course. That is the media and the propaganda.
Yeah. Well, he says only what is happening here, and is and he was also in in Germany, and he was freed, and here why they are prosecuted. There is no case in here. It's only that they don't want the referendum here, and this is the way to stop it for them. To put people in jail, they are asking for 74 years of prison for the people who prepared it.
Jesus.
It's ridiculous. Even if you kill 10 people, you are not staying so long in jail. So it's so ridiculous. Yeah. So yeah, it's really upsetting when you see all this that's happening here. Yeah.
And keep in mind that this person is elected democratically. Like people want.
Yeah. Many people want him because we believe in him. Yeah, many people want him, and others just vote Esquerra Republicana because it has always been independent. But now they are afraid, and they want to do some kind of deals with Spain because there are people in jail. But they were also independent. If you add all the two parties together, and also another one that they didn't count for the European because they weren't enough, that is very independent. Yeah, we have a lot of people, that want independence. Yeah, Many people, yeah. But yeah,
I was
so we
actually
will
going to
see.
say it because I told the other guest that we had there was a recent article that is saying the opposite, but I was kind of I think it's just more propaganda of them trying to say that people don't want independence when they really do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in general, well, also I have a surrounding that many people want independence, but for sure there are people that also that don't want, because many people don't want it because they are afraid, because they are so used to belong to Spain, that if we are independent, everything is going to change. And there were many years that people won't know exactly the money, the social money, how it's going to come from. And I mean, they are afraid of the money they're going to have and all these things, you guys. I understand that, but I think it's the only way to be independent, to try it. And there will be hard years, but then it will be much better in some years, because Spain is spoiling also, always Catalonia with the money. So it's only some years of difficulties, and I think that it could be much better, because, and also the laws here, we have many social laws to respect people that is needed, that need some special, I don't know, attention and other things. And Spain always is like, no, this law I don't want, this law I don't want, this law I don't want, and then just they take it back, because when it happened, all these, we had our own autonomy, and we could approve laws, and then after this 155, I don't know if you are aware of this, we had they applied censorship this last year, and so they had our Catalan government, and they took our money and our laws and everything, and now it's going more in the way of the Spanish way. So many people lost also social help and other things, because Spain doesn't want to support. So so many things that if you know in detail, you can see that we cannot be anymore in Spain, because also we feel different. We don't feel the same. We feel more close to Europe, and even the way of thinking. They are so, for me, I mean, people is more like old-fashioned in general. If you go to the south of Spain, for instance, well, of course there are people everywhere that it's not, but in general, if you travel a little bit, you will see the difference. You can see already talking with people the difference. It's like more multicultural here in Barcelona and Girona and all this. And yeah, if you go to Cuenca, or I mean the south of Spain or whatever region, it's more a kind of village mind. I don't know how to explain it. It's different.
It isn't Catalonia though the powerhouse of
Sorry,
economic powerhouse of Spain, right?
what? I lost the voice.
Oh yeah, so isn't Catalonia like it's the economic powerhouse of Spain, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Catalonia is it's giving. I don't know the percentage now. I don't remember exactly, but here is like the motor of Spain. So because we in the past also did we start with dealing with merchandising with by the sea, and we are very good in merchandising and all these things. And the rest of Spain only did they were with the crops and the cows and all that. And in Catalonia, people were more traveling and just dealing with the world already, with the sheep and all that. So here still is now, it's like more or less the same. So it's a
I'm
different
curious.
way.
I'm curious how that happens. Usually, the region that has the most money and industrial activity going on kind of can dominate the politics, and yet Catalonia still seems to have a problem.
Yeah, well, because the king is from Madrid, and I mean, we now we are part of Spain from this the Catholic kings. If you look a little bit about the history of Spain, you will see that this change with this marriage, I think, more or less, because before we were really a great region, and then we had this marriage, this king and queen, then all started to go well like it is. But then, yeah, it has been many years, of course. But then with Bourbons, with the Bourbons, this king now and the king before, yeah, they were fascist. The Franco was, I don't know if you know Franco, but he was helping also Hitler. So you can see the kind of guy he was. And there's people here in Spain still is defending the Franco. They are now. Yesterday you were saying still we have the how you say la tumba. The tomb of Franco in a monument that they want. We don't want Franco to be there because I mean he was killing people and they don't want to move him. It's like they approve what he did in a way. So this in Germany would not even be allowed to have Hitler just in the middle of a monument that everybody goes there and adore him. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, this is fascism is still alive, is what I was saying before. And yeah, well, this is also complicated. That you have to follow a lot of the history here. But Catalonia is just a part of Spain now, and yeah, it's not so easy. The problem is now we don't have army in Catalonia. So if we want to split, they just want to go with the army here, and they just kill people. They could kill people. Does it could stop the referendum to really succeed because they said to Puigdemont that they could send the army here. And we know how they can act, these Spanish people, when they are angry and afraid. So he just said, okay, so we just said, but we don't, now it's in the freezer, the independence. Yeah, because they were afraid that they could kill people because we don't have an army in Catalonia. This is one of the, I think, one of the problems we have. Yeah, they don't allow us to have an army because they know that if we have an army, we already could have been independent many years ago.
Yeah.
So there are many things in the middle. Yeah. So we are unprotected from the rest. If we say, okay, we are independent, then they come. They already sent in the referendum like 8,000 policemen, apart from the ones we have here, because they didn't want that we do the referendum. So they sent all these policemen here to try to avoid it. And still we did. I was there voting also, and it was an exciting day. Yeah, many people had problems, and others just were in the different places that they were just how is it dañados? How you say? Hurt. They were hurt. So it was not easy, and they were old people. The old people was not afraid also of voting there. Even policemen that they were trying to avoid it, and they were there, and they were saying, "No, I want a country better for my kids or for my sons and grandchildren." And it was a lot of emotional day. Yeah, very. I mean, we will remember all people who were there. I think we will remember the rest of our lives because it was kind of a Pacific war. We were there just in peace, not attacking anyone. They were attacking us, not in every station pole, of course, but the people, because people believed that we would be better if we would be independent, and then just the police just attacked the innocent people. Yeah, I suppose you saw some images because there are many images of this day, many places that people just film with a mobile, and I also have in my Twitter some, because I mean, that's why, because they go with the force. I mean, they want to avoid it at any cost, that we are independent. Yeah, this is it. This is how it works. That's why we are not. I think.
Yeah, this is shocking. I think this is shocking to everyone listening to this the broadcast. I mean, but I also asked other guests, like people who are listening to this, they actually do want to help. I think, and what is the best thing they can do to
Mhm.
help out with this, and also to stay up to date with this, because there are many people talking about Catalonia. But what is like a reliable source to?
Yeah. Well, reliable source for sure is Puigdemont, and also, there are some reliable sources. Yeah, also in Twitter, I think there are some reliable sources. Yeah, it's people that is just trying the best of themselves to do it right. The problem is that I think we need support of other countries. I mean, in a really high political level, to really do something. Now, look at what happened with Puigdemont in Europe. He could not even enter in the parliament because Spain talked to Tajani, and he decided, to invent some strange reason not to allow him to even enter it, and he has been elected. So it's a fight that is difficult because we are a minority, and I think, we will need countries that help us. But also, I think that who will be the first? I mean, this is because the first, also maybe it's afraid that what it's going to say the rest of the countries if I support Catalonia. I suppose it's going this way. I don't know. It's a minority country in comparison to the rest of the world. So yeah, I don't know. We will see. I hope we have this support in some time, and in some years, I hope I will see this independence. And many people, here, and that is just hoping the same. Because if not, I think we are totally lost here. Just like a part of Spain that is just oppressing us. We are lost with them, even if we are the motor and everything and the culture. Yeah, it's like cannot be what it could be, the country. Yeah, it's a pity because nowadays, it would be better to be together, but it cannot be in Spain because I know that all the negotiations that had been in between the two governments, the Spanish and the Catalan, and Spain, Spanish government never wants to sit and talk really about what's happening, what we want, and what is needed to just stay. They don't want to talk. They just want to say that they are the only ones, and they are the only reason. I mean, you only have to listen what they say, and they don't listen to any other thing. I mean, so they are very stubborn and very narrow-minded. So it's difficult.
I think our streamer only has like 5 minutes or
Yeah,
something.
5 minutes
I don't know.
left.
Okay.
I think you have a lot more to talk about with us. Maybe you want to come back next week the same day.
Okay, we'll try. I don't know now this moment what I will be doing, but well, why not? Yeah.
We have also foreign friends of Catalonia. He will come too,
Yeah, good.
and
Yeah.
you Catalonia. He was in earlier tonight too. He gave a very impressive story too. I mean, I think it will be great to have you in too. Then.
Okay. Thank you very much then. Bye. Bye.
All right, bye, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
We will be back on what? Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we'll be back next week at 11 o'clock Sunday, and on Thursday we'll have a regular show on at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I can't verify to our viewers if we're streaming out to every place on the back end. There seems to be some really... I've never seen this kind of behavior. It says I'm on, and then I'm not, and then I'm on there, and it's on. So I don't know if you can see our stuff, but I don't know. John, do you have anything else to say?
We're dealing with some
back-end
We're
issues.
dealing with some censorship, but yeah.
Yeah.
We will increase the number of sites we will stream to again. Like we have like a whole new list coming up. Like we will stream like 40 sites at once, so they will not be able to censor it.
Yeah. Should I just roll up with the credits and then just roll out?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, and then we'll be back next week. Hopefully, we will not have any of these back-end issues. And I'll roll with the credits.
All right. Thanks for listening.
All right. They
Hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled